Okay guys, we're gonna start talking about how to move on in the project. So once you've sketched out your design and you put some thought and some time into it, you're gonna go up front and you're gonna see you have your choice between two different kinds of metal for this project. So you can do a silver or you can do a copper. The only difference is the copper is a little heavier weight, so it's a little bit harder to work with, but I think it looks really cool. And then the silver is lighter weight and it's easier to work with. So when you guys are ready, you're gonna pick your metal out and you're gonna tape it to the back of your paper. Now, if this sketch you did, you feel like it's a little sloppy and you wanna redraw it before you start, I have just scraps of white paper that are the same size that our metal will be, and you can sketch it on here nice before you start. So that's always an option in case you want to do that. Before you guys go back to your seat, you're going to want to grab your metal, your tape, and then just a stack of, this is called newsprint. It's the same material as newspaper, and then you're going to want to grab a pen. So I'm going to put my newsprint underneath of me, and then you guys are just going to take your pen and your sketch with your metal underneath, and you're just going to be pressing with your pen into your metal. This does take some time, especially if you're using the copper, but what you're going to start to see when you go on the back, you're going to tell that it's starting to transfer through to your metal. Okay, so that's what you want, are all these little lines poking through. You don't want to press so hard though that you're getting holes in your metal. That would not be good. So once I have it all sketched out into my metal, I'm going to take my pre-sketch sheet off and we're going to start to do the embossing process. I'm going to put out some tools for you guys at your table. So you'll have, they're just kind of just a variety of wooden and plastic tools. You can buy embossing tools, but they're kind of expensive. And whenever I've used them, they've broken. So I just like to use wooden tools. I'm actually going to start by working from the back of my metal piece. And when you're embossing, that's when you're putting pressure on your shapes. You don't want to emboss the whole thing. You want to pick certain things that you want to stand out. So maybe I'll start down here with the tentacle. So I'm just going to use my tool. I've got my padding underneath, and I'm going to start putting pressure on my metal. Now you want to stay within the lines of your shape. So if I go outside of this tentacle shape, I'm going to lose all that detail. So I'm trying my best. It's just like when you were coloring as a little kid, staying inside the lines. And you're kind of just going back and forth, rubbing the wooden tool along the metal. It's almost like you're shading with a pencil. You're just going circular motions. And then when you flip it, you're going to start to see that that detail's starting to pop out on the front. Now, every so often as I'm working, I like to take my pen and just kind of re-outline my lines if I embossed in that area and it kind of looks like I lost some detail work. I'll go back with my pen just to re-outline to get that shape back, because sometimes you can lose your shapes as you're working. If you're trying to do stuff like texture, I like to use the metal tip on a pen. You can do dots, you can do dash marks. I'm going to use this for the tentacles. And it's okay if some of the pen rubs off onto your metal, because we're going to be antiquing these later, so we're going to put a stain on them so you won't even see the pen. And then you can see on the front where that's starting to show through. So metal embossing, guys, is really about the details, taking your time and slowing down. You need to go shape by shape. Sometimes I've seen students who will go really fast and they just do the whole thing. What you're going to do is just lose all that beautiful detail work that you've done, so you want to just go shape by shape. Something else you can do is work from the front to the back. So let's say I want some of my stuff to sink down into the surface. like let's do my seaweed. Maybe I want that to sink down. So I'm gonna take my tool, and I'm working from the front this time. And I'm gonna start to emboss this down into the surface. You can use either end of your tool. You can use the pointy side or the flat side. Either one is fine. And then what I'll do is go from the back and just re-outline that shape to bring the detail back. Okay, so this takes some patience. Realistically, if you're doing this correctly, it might take a whole class period, or it might take 2 class periods. And then once I've embossed, you can go back and add texture. So texture always comes last. Okay, and that's basically the start of embossing.